Capricorn, Capricorn. What you said that changed everything. Number 4 hurts. Capricorns, prepare yourselves because what I'm about to reveal will affect you in a way you may not have expected. You are known for being strong, resilient, practically indestructible, right? But something was said to you that changed everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Maybe it was that phrase someone threw around like it was nothing, but it kept echoing in your mind for days, weeks, months. Or those words that came from someone you never imagined could hurt you like that. Capricorn, you can pretend everything's fine, that you've moved on, but I know some words have deeply affected you. Today I'm going to reveal 4 specific things that were said to you that completely transformed your perspective on relationships, on yourself, and on life. And look, number 4, that one hurts. It really hurts. Because it touched exactly on your most vulnerable point, the one you hide even from yourself. Have you ever experienced that moment when someone said something and the ground simply opened up beneath your feet? When you realized that nothing would ever be the same again? That's what we're talking about here. So stay until the end because you need to know what really happened, how it transformed you, and most importantly, how it's influencing your decisions to this day. Capricorn, this message is for you. So, if you are a Capricorn or know someone of that sign, click like now, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because this journey will reveal things you've never had the courage to say out loud. Let's go. The first sentence that changed everything for you, Capricorn, was this: you are too strong to need anyone. And when you heard that, do you know what you did? You smiled. You thanked them. You even felt flattered, as if it were a compliment, a recognition of your ability to carry the world on your shoulders. But let me ask you a question. Did you really want to be strong? Like this, did you really want to be the person everyone turns to when they need support, but no one welcomes you when you're falling apart inside? Because that's what that phrase did to you. It turned your strength into a prison. Capricorn, you are like a mountain, imposing, solid, unshakable. People look at you and see grandeur, stability, something they can lean on. But no one asks, who supports the mountain? Who tends to the invisible cracks that form with each storm? Who wipes away the tears of stone that no one sees fall? That phrase taught you that vulnerability is weakness, that admitting tiredness is failure, that asking for help is collapsing. And so you started building even higher walls, carrying even heavier burdens, proving to everyone, and especially to yourself, that you don't need anyone. But the truth is, you need it. You've always needed it. You just learned to silence that need, to bury it deep, to disguise it with work, achievements, responsibilities. You become an expert at being too busy to feel the loneliness that's eating you up inside. And now you're tired of being strong, tired of being the rock when all you wanted was to rest in someone's lap. Tired of hiding that behind this mask of absolute control, there's a heart asking only to be cared for, without having to earn it through more and more achievements. That phrase changed everything because it robbed you of your right to be human. It turned you into a symbol, a function, a pillar, but never into someone who also needs support. The second thing that was said to you, and which became a kind of sentence, was, you think too much about the future, you never enjoy the present. And that phrase hurt in a different way, because deep down, you know it's true. Capricorn, when was the last time you really lived the moment? When was the last time you looked at something beautiful and simply appreciated it, without already planning the next step, the next goal, the next mountain to climb? You're like an architect obsessed with the final project, but who has forgotten to inhabit the rooms he's already built. Each achievement is just a stepping stone to the next. Each victory is celebrated with a fleeting moment of satisfaction before you're already planning your next goal. You live in a perpetual, when I achieve this, there I'm going to be happy, but that something never arrives, does it? People tell you to slow down, to enjoy yourself, to relax. And you even try. You take that day off, go on that trip, sit on that couch. But your mind? Your mind is already at the office, thinking about next month's bills, the project that needs to be delivered, the feeling that it should do something productive right now. And do you know why this happens? Because deep down, Capricorn, you're afraid. Afraid that if you really stop, you'll realize the emptiness. You'll realize that all this rushing, all this building, all this obsessive planning is just a way of escaping the present, because the present scares you. The present forces you to look at yourself without the distractions of future success. It forces you to feel the emotions you've been sweeping under the rug. It forces you to confront the question you've been avoiding for years. What if everything I build isn't enough to make me feel complete? This phrase changed everything because it made you realize that you've been living like a ghost in your own life. Physically present, but emotionally absent. Here in the body, but with your soul always 3 steps ahead, trying to reach a future that promises peace, but only brings more anxiety. And the saddest part? You're missing out on the moments that truly matter. That hug you didn't fully feel because you were thinking about work. That sunset you photographed but didn't experience. That important conversation you had with someone, but your mind was elsewhere. Time is passing, Capricorn. And one day you'll look back and realize you spent your whole life preparing the ground to be happy, but you forgot to plant the flowers. The third phrase that struck you was devastating in its simplicity. You choose work over people. And when you heard that, perhaps from someone you loved, you tried to defend yourself. You explained about responsibilities, about goals, about the importance of building a solid future. But then, in the quiet hours of the early morning, that phrase came back, and back, and back, because there was a grain of truth in it that you couldn't quite swallow. Capricorn, how many times have you canceled plans with loved ones because a work demand came up? How many times have you chosen to stay an extra hour at the office instead of going to that dinner, that party, that simple but precious moment with someone who matters? You tell yourself, it's only for now. When I finish this project, when I reach that position, when I have that financial security, there, I'll have time for people. But that's a lie you tell yourself. Because there's always another project, another goal, another mountain. The painful truth is that you use work as a shield, as an excuse, as a refuge. Because work is predictable. You put in effort, you get results. People are complex, unpredictable. They demand vulnerability. And vulnerability is what you fear most. It's easier to dedicate yourself to a report than to open up in a deep conversation. It's safer to pursue a promotion than to risk your heart in a relationship. It's more comfortable to be productive than to be present. Because in productivity, you have control. In human relationships, you need to give yourself. And giving yourself isn't your strong suit. And then people start to drift away. Not with anger, but with sadness. Not with resentment, but with resignation. They realize they will never be a priority. That there will always be something more important. That you love them, yes, but that your love always comes second, behind obligations, goals, the fear of failure. And you realize it too late. You realize it when you look around and see a life of professional achievements, but emotional loneliness. A schedule full of commitments, but empty of real connections. An impressive resume, but a heart starving for intimacy. That phrase changed everything because it forced you to confront a brutal truth. You're building an empire. But for whom? To share it with whom? You're climbing to the top of the mountain. But when you get there, you'll be alone. Capricorn, pause here for a second. Have you ever felt this? That pain of realizing you're unintentionally neglecting people? Comment below. I've felt this, if you can relate. I want to know I'm not alone, and that you're also on this journey of self-discovery with me. And now we come to number 4. The one that really hurts. The one that cuts the deepest. The phrase that may not even have been said aloud, but that you heard in every disappointed look, in every unmet expectation, in every time you gave your best, and it still wasn't enough. You will never be enough. Capricorn, this is the wound you've carried forever. The inner voice that haunts you, that demands from you, that prevents you from resting. It's the reason you work to exhaustion. It's the reason you can't accept praise. It's the poison that contaminates every achievement with a bitter taste of, but it could have been better. Where did this belief come from? Perhaps from demanding parents who never said, "I'm proud of you." Perhaps from a childhood where you learned that love is something you earn, not something you receive. Perhaps from all the times you tried your hardest and still weren't chosen, weren't valued, weren't seen. And then you decided, if I'm never enough, I'll become enough that indispensable. I will work so hard, achieve so much, prove so much that no one will be able to deny my worth. You transform that wound into fuel, into ambition, into a machine of achievement that never stops. But you know what happened? The more you achieve, the stronger that inner voice becomes. Because each success only confirms the belief. See? You only have value when you are producing. Stop producing, and you are nothing. You look at your accomplishments and feel no pride. You feel temporary relief. Relief that, for now, you've proven your worth. But tomorrow? Tomorrow you need to prove it again. And again. And again. An endless cycle of seeking external validation because you've never managed to build the internal one. And in relationships? Capricorn, that's where this wound bleeds the most. You love with fear. You love wondering when the person will realize you're not enough and leave. You give your time, your energy, your support, hoping that this will compensate for your imaginary shortcomings. And when someone loves you simply for who you are, without you having to do anything, you become suspicious. You think, they don't really know me yet. When they do, they'll realize I'm not that special. And then you sabotage yourself, you distance yourself, you create impossible tests, because deep down, you're convinced it's only a matter of time before you're abandoned. That phrase changed everything because it became your prison. A prison you built yourself, brick by brick, with every unprocessed criticism, every unhealed rejection, every time you believed your worth lay in what he doesn't, not who you are. But let me tell you something, Capricorn. You have always been enough. From the very beginning. Before any achievement, before any test, before any external validation. You are enough simply by existing. And that is the hardest truth for you to accept, because it crumbles the entire structure you built to survive. And we come to the fifth and final revelation. You don't know how to ask for help. And this phrase, in a way, summarizes all the others. Because at the heart of all your pain, Capricorn, is the solitude you chose, not because you wanted to, but because you don't know how to do otherwise. You learned from a very young age that asking for help is synonymous with weakness. That admitting you can't cope is admitting failure. That extending a hand puts you in a vulnerable position. And vulnerability is unacceptable for someone who needs to be strong, reliable, everyone's rock. So you carry it. You carry the weight alone. You carry the responsibilities, the worries, the anxieties, the exhaustion. You carry it until your legs tremble, until your back bends, until you can no longer breathe properly. And even then, when someone asks, "Are you okay?" you answer, "I am. Everything is under control." But Capricorn, you don't need to have everything under control. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to solve everything alone. That's the lie you were told. And you've internalized it so deeply that you now believe it's your identity. Asking for help is not weakness. It's courage. It's wisdom. It's recognizing that you are human, not a machine. It's understanding that sharing the burden is not giving up. It's allowing yourself to be supported in the same way you support others. But you're afraid. Afraid that if you open up, if you reveal your vulnerability, people will see you differently. They'll lose respect for you. They'll realize you're not as strong as you seem. And then they'll abandon you, judge you, disappoint you. But the irony, Capricorn, is that by not asking for help, you're isolating yourself. You're building a fortress so high that no one can get in. And yes, you're safe inside, safe from vulnerability, safe from rejection, safe from being disappointed. But you're also alone. Deeply, painfully alone. People want to help you. They want to be by your side. They want to see you not just as the strong pillar, but as the complex, flawed, and beautiful human being that you are. But you don't let them. You keep everyone at a safe distance, where they can admire your strength, but never witness your fragility. And you know what the result is? You're exhausted. Exhausted from pretending you can handle it. Exhausted from wearing masks. Exhausted from being strong when all you wanted was to be able to give in, cry, admit, "I'm not okay. I need help. I can't do this alone." That phrase changed everything because it showed you the price of your forced independence, loneliness, emotional isolation, the feeling that even surrounded by people, you are completely alone because nobody really knows you, nobody really sees you, because you don't allow it. But there's still time, Capricorn. There's still time to lower your defenses, to take off your armor, to admit that you also need to be cared for, to understand that asking for help doesn't make you less, it makes you human. And being human, with all your imperfections and needs, is the most beautiful and courageous thing you can be. And so, Capricorn, we've arrived at the heart of it all. At the center of this pain you carry in silence. You are the sign of the mountain, imposing, strong, resilient. Everyone looks at you and sees someone who never crumbles, who never fails, who never breaks. And you have maintained this image with such dedication that you have forgotten that, beneath all that stone, there is a beating heart, bleeding, begging to be seen. The central conflict of your existence is this. You built such a perfect fortress to protect yourself that now you are trapped within it. You have become a prisoner of your own strength, a hostage to your own capacity to endure. On the outside, you are success, achievement, stability. You are the friend everyone trusts, the professional everyone admires, the person who solves everything. But on the inside, you are the child who just wanted to hear, "You are enough as you are." You are the tired heart that just wanted to stop proving its worth. You are the exhausted soul that just wanted to be loved without having to earn it. And the words that were spoken to you, those 5 sentences that changed everything, they intertwine into a single painful truth. You learned to be strong because you didn't allow yourself to be fragile. You learned to work because you didn't allow yourself to rest. You learned to carry everything alone because you didn't allow yourself to trust. But strength without vulnerability is merely rigidity. Work without presence is merely escapism. Independence without connection is simply loneliness disguised as autonomy. Capricorn, you weren't born to be a solitary mountain. You were born to be a base where others can lean on you. Yes, but also where you can be supported. You were born to build, yes, but also to inhabit what you build. You were born to be strong, yes, but also to allow yourself to be cared for. Change begins when you recognize that all those phrases that have stuck with you aren't absolute truths. They're just beliefs you've internalized. And beliefs can be questioned, deconstructed, and replaced. You are not strong. Too much are you afraid? Too much it's not about not being. You don't live in the future because you're ambitious. You run from the present because it's scary. You don't choose work over people. You choose control over vulnerability. You're not insufficient, you just believe the wrong voices. And you don't have to do everything alone. You just need to learn that asking for help doesn't make you any less worthy of love. Capricorn, if you've made it this far, to this final moment, it's because something in this message resonated within you. It touched a wound you thought you'd buried deep. It lit a light in dark places you'd rather not visit. And that's a good thing. Because transformation only comes through awareness. Only by facing your shadows can you integrate them. Only by acknowledging your wounds can you begin to heal them. You no longer need to carry everything alone. You no longer need to prove your worth every second. You no longer need to choose the solitude of the fortress when you could choose the intimacy of connection. The words that hurt you, that changed everything, they don't define you. They only revealed where you still need care, acceptance, love. Especially your own self-love. So breathe. Allow yourself to feel the weight you're carrying. And then, gently, delicately, begin to put it down. You don't need to be strong right now. You can just be human. You can just be you. And now I ask you, directly, with an open heart, have you ever felt that silent pain inside? That loneliness of being too strong for others, but too fragile inside? Can you recognize yourself in these words that changed everything? Comment below. Tell me which of these 5 phrases hurt you the most. Or if there was another word that deeply affected you. Share your story, your pain, your healing. Because here, in this space, you can take off the mask. You can be vulnerable. You can be real. If this video touched your heart, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with other Capricorns who need to hear this message. Because sometimes healing begins when we realize we're not alone on this journey. A big hug to each and every one of you. And remember, you have always been enough. You have always been worthy. You have always been loved. You just need to allow yourself to believe it. Until the next video. And take care of that warrior heart. It's tired, okay? It deserves rest too. Blue heart.